Hello everyone, I welcome you to another session of Literature Party online class. In this particular video, we are going to focus on an African prose text, one of the two African prose texts recommended for SSCE and its equivalents. So today we are going to focus on Redemption Road by Elma. So this text was written to capture the aftermath of the Liberian Civil War, its psychological impact on the survivors of the war survivors. It's how they navigate through their past traumas to get a chance at healing, redemption, forgiveness, etc., etc. So this is basically what the book is all about. And through the use of flashback, it also gives us hints, or let's say insights into what it means to fight a war, the tragic occurrences, the destructive nature of war, etc., etc. So we are not going to go all around. We want to specifically focus on the characters in the text. And a good spot to begin with is the protagonist of the text, Bendu Lewis. And so this character is a very unique one. She is the central character, and much of the story is told from her perspective. Much of the story is told through narrative lenses. So this character, Bendu Lewis, is the protagonist heroine of the text, and we understand that she lost her grandmother during the war, and for close to 10 years she has that feeling that she's responsible for her grandmother's death. So she has put on herself that guilt that she is responsible for her grandmother's death. She lives with that guilt. Another thing is that another of a dark secret is the fact that during the war she's conscripted. She's conscripted into the into an army into an army led by Commander Cobra, and she's married to Commander Cobra's second in command. That's Samson. So she has a daughter for him before she left the daughter in the camp and abandoned at the camp entirely. Ran away. She ran away from the camp. So now in the present day, she has bottled these memories. She has bottled these memories, and she did not tell any of her family about unpleasant experience during the war. So, but all this would resurface, all these memories would resurface with a chance encounter with Commander Cobra, now Mrs. Varney, in Morovia. So the memories came gushing, and she has no option than to seek redemption. She has no option than to seek redemption through the pursuit of justice. So Bendu, and then we see Bendu as an altruistic character. She's an altruistic character in the sense that she cares for others. She wants the best for others. So this informs our organizing or funding peace in practice. So she's the founder of peace in practice. She's the founder and co-director of peace in practice, PIP, peace in practice. So the main goal of, or let's say the main objective of of starting peace in practice is to rehabilitate war survivors, traumatic war survivors and reintegrate them into the society. That's basically what, even though she has not gotten past her own traumatic past, she tries to help others get past their traumatic past and find a way to reintegrate them into the society. So that's basically what Bendu Lewis represents in the text. And with a chance they can encounter with Commander Cobra and subsequent pursuit of justice, she finds herself at loggerheads with Commander Cobra, who wants to keep low, and at the end of the day, she's kidnapped by Commander Cobra, brutally abused, and things like that. And when she was threatened by Commander Cobra, who is ready to divulge her secrets, her wartime secrets to her family, she has no option than to tell the thing herself. So she tells her family what she experienced during the war. And it is through her opening up that she begins to heal herself. It's through that channel that she begins to heal. She looks for her daughter, a long lost or long separated daughter, May Medavis, and that is the icing on the cake of redemption. Our reunion with Medavis is the icing on the cake of redemption. So Bendu Lewis is a character to love. She is a character to love. It is through our lenses, it is through our eyes that we get to know what happened, what really happened during the Liberian Civil War. This dehumanization, the killing, the wanton killings during the Civil War. So we saw everything through nightmares and flashbacks. So she's a character to love in the text. So another character you may want to consider in the text is Commander Cobra. So Commander Cobra, or Mrs. Varney. So Moses Varney is his present name, is a post-war name, but Commander Cobra is his wartime name. He's a very notorious soldier, a notorious commander, known for killing people, known for all sorts of barbarity. So, in fact, he's the one responsible for Bendu's first marriage to Samson. Is second in command. So Commander Cobra is known for decapitating people's heads. He is known for all sorts of notoriousness and atrocities during the Civil War. So, and after the Civil War, he starts bearing Moses Varney. He reverts to his birth name, which is Moses Varney. And as after the war, he begins to get different kinds of illegal contracts, like they're related to arms dealing, and things like that. So it is his chance encounter with Bendu appears to truncate whatever lowness or whatever he intends to keep by the contracts he's getting and things like that. So, and he has no option than to kidnap her, Bendu, threaten her, frighten her. So in the long run, the people he works for decide to take him off the radar. They decide to take him off the radar because because his discovery would put their identity, would put their safety at risk as well. So in the end, he was killed. He was also he was murdered. But one thing the author did excellently well was to show us the human side of Mrs. Varney, that he wasn't always a monster. He lost both his parents to a tragic accident. He had to move to his uncle's place where he was maltreated, so he had to run away at the end of the day. So, in other words, the author gives us this human side, how he became a villain, a villain, how he became a villain, how he became the antagonist in the novel. So we have Commander Cobra. So his wartime name was Commander Cobra. So this Commander Cobra is associated with his notoriety during the war, and Moses Varney is his post-war name. So then we have Siatta and Terence Clark. Siatta and Terence Clark. So these two characters, they are a couple. Siatta is Bendu's sister, so she's Bendu's sister, while Terence Clark is Siatta's husband. So we understand that during the war, Siatta was not in the country, was not in Liberia during the war. She was in the U.S. So she did not have a first-hand experience of the war. So she always has this sense of judging others, judging the people that were the recipient of the war, that were victims of the war, of being complicit. She felt they were complicit in the war and what happened to them and things like that. So her view would change. Her view would change when she experienced first hand what the war looked like, what chaos looked like. So, and for Terence Clark is the opposite of Siatta. While Siatta is a supportive sister, she's a supportive, especially when she takes Bendu Lewis in to her home after Bendu was threatened and harassed by Commander Cobra. But Terence is the opposite. She sets Bendu Lewis up for Commander Cobra's mother when Bendu Lewis is insistent on seeing the light, on pursuing the cause of justice. So Terence is a politician and he behaves like a politician, also sabotaging things and sabotaging Bendu's plan. And we also understand that he is involved in extramarital affairs. He is involved in extramarital affairs. And at the end of the day, Siatta had to leave Terence Clark for his dubiousness and, or let's say, duplicity. So he's neither here nor there. He's a two-faced person. So at the end of the day, Siatta had to leave Terence Clark. So another character you may want to consider in the text is Granny May. Granny May. So at the beginning of the text, that's chapter 1 of the text. We witness the commemoration of Granny May's death. The commemoration of Granny May's death. We understand that she died during the Civil War, during the chaos, the chaos of the Civil War, with Bendu by her side, pushing her in a wheelbarrow. So, and although a lot of their family members are not aware of the circumstances surrounding Granny May's death, Bendu feels like she's responsible for death. So that guilt is very much there. So, and it isn't surprising that Bendu's daughter is later renamed after Granny May. So we have other, and Granny May is not really a thing in that book. she occupies almost the same role as Benji, that's a Benjamin Lewis, Bendu's brother, who was killed during the coup d'etat of 1989 when President Cobra was ousted by Samuel Doe and others. So both Granny May and Benji occupy a traumatic space in Bendu's head, in Bendu's psychological makeup. So Benji is Bendu's. So these two are, although they are minor characters, they are recollected from the past. But even at that, they are very important to the traumatic experience of Bendu Lewis. So we understand that Benji was dragged out and killed in place of Calvin Daniel. Then we have Calvin Daniel. Speaking of which, we have Calvin J. Daniels. So Calvin J. Daniel is a journalist. So he's a journalist and a friend of the Lewis family. So it is actually his interview with Bendu in respect of PIP that brings peace in practice into limelight and ushered in donors and interested bodies. So we understand that Calvin blames himself for Benji's death because Calvin and Benji were friends before Benji's untimely death. So they were friends, and right from their childhood, Calvin had always piqued interest in Bendu. So he has a kind of a romantic interest in Bendu. So he does everything to get close to him, to her. He does everything to get close to her. And we also understand that Calvin later he supports Bendu through her trauma, through her travels. So it's just like Siatta. Calvin is very supportive. He supports Bendu also. He provides security. He provides shelter, and then he gives our organization PIP the limelight through the channel of journalism, through his journalism and interviews and things like that. So at the end of the text, we find out that uh, their romantic engagements later worked, and even Bendu's long separated daughter acknowledges Calvin as uh, a father in the end. So that's basically for Calvin J. Daniels. Though we also understand that he's still very much angry by what happened during the coup d'etat that ousted President Cobra, because the coup d'etat appears to seem as if it is targeted at Americo-Liberians by the natives. So it appears to be targeted at Liberians of American origin. So, and which is why he's very angry, especially for the fact that it claims the life of Benji. So we have Calvin J. Daniels. So we also have Agnes Jallow. We have Agnes. So we have Agnes. Well, Agnes Jallow, on the other hand, she's the co-director. She's the co-director of PIP. She's the co-director of PIP. So both Agnes and Bendu, they work hand in hand to reintegrate war survivors into the society. So, and Agnes appears to be a contrast of Bendu, while Bendu believes that redemption can only come in the form of a pursuit for justice or pursuit of justice. Agnes, on the other hand, believes in forgiveness and letting go. So, and at every time she tries to make Bendu, she tries to make Bendu see this, that she can only get her healing. She can only get her healing by letting go of the past and forgiving, for forgiving the people that have offended her, that have offended at the end of the day, Bendu would adopt Agnes Jallow's strategy by letting go and forgiving them. And this is evident in the letter she writes at the end of the novel. She writes to people who offended her, people who represented a point in her traumatic past, who participated one way or the other in her traumatic past. So Agnes Jallow. Then we have these characters too. We have Tene. We have Tene, Josephine, and Rosetta. So these three characters, they are there to let us see uh, how the war has impacted the people, how the war has psychologically impacted the psyche of the people. So Tene, for example, she's a victim of the war as well. She was raped at the age of 12. Was it 14? She was raped at the age of 12 with the complicity of our mother. So with the complicity of our mother. Then we have Josephine too, and then Musetta. And we find out later that Tene is HIV positive. Tene is HIV positive. But even at that, she did not allow that to weigh her down. She did not allow the fact that she's HIV positive. She tells her story the way she wants, and then she becomes, in the long run, she becomes a counselor in PIP. She infects people with her redemption too. She infects people with her uh, with transformation. So we have Tene, Josephine, and Rosetta. These are some of the students of PIP. Yeah, then we have Eva Lewis. We have Eva Lewis. Well, in the case of Eva Lewis, she's the mother to Bendu Lewis and Siatta. And then, of course, Benji. She's the mother of the three. And the two girls have always felt that their mother loves the dead Benji more than the two of them. But later on, she clears the air to tell them that it is very hard to lose a child, so that she loves them all equally. We have Eva Lewis, and she does not live in the country, but the moment she comes back to the country and hears a Bendu story and all that, she begins in earnest to help Bendu navigate through her traumatic past. And she is, I must say, she's an enthusiastic and spirited grandmother to May Davis. So we have May Davis too. So she is the long separated daughter of, or let's say long abandoned daughter of Bendu Lewis. And our reunion with Bendu at the end of the text uh, serves as a kind of uh, indication that Bendu has finally been redeemed from a traumatic past and is ready to start a new life entirely. Then we have George Dagose. George Dagose. So, well, George Dagose, on the other hand, he represents everything wrong with the country. It represents everything in the country. We all understand that as a judge is expected to uphold justice. Is expected to uphold justice, fairness, and truth. But what he does is a contrast of all these virtues. He represents corruption. He's very corrupt. He's overtly corrupt. And that is evident in how he takes bribes from Moses Varney, how he takes bribes from Moses Varney in order to waive out some parts of the law in favor of Moses Varney and the people he represents. So Judge Dagosel, the Capitol building, which is the Supreme Court or like a court of justice, represents a contrast of what they should. So, and with people like Judge Dagosel in the society, it will be hard for pursuit of justice. It will be hard for people for pursuit of justice. Then we have a Lieutenant Tape. We have Lieutenant Tape. So he's also complicit. He's also complicit in this flawed system. We remember that at a point Bendu had to report to to Tape about the atrocities committed by Commander Cobra during the Civil War. But Tape did not pursue the thing to a reasonable length or a reasonable length. It not even pursue the thing. So it is even one of the people under his command that revealed Bendu's pursuit of justice to Commander Cobra and his people. So Tape, but the moment he was hinted that Bendu may be complicit in Moses Varney, then he springs into action and he springs into action and comes around to arrest Bendu Lewis. So these are some of the characters in. We have other characters too. We have a lot of characters in the text that make the book interesting and interesting read. We have people like Weir. He's Commander Cobra's driver. So he's Commander Cobra's driver, and he's in fact the person that called Bendu Lewis secretly to inform her about the whereabouts of Moses Varney, so that the long arms of the law can easily catch him. So he's that kind of character that is already tired of war, violence, wanton killings. He just wants back his normal life. So he does not approve of what his boss, Moses Varney, is doing or has done to Bendu Lewis. So with these characters we've examined, I believe we have insight. We already have an understanding of what this book is all about. So in our subsequent lessons, we'll look into other aspects of the novel. So we'll look into the plot summary or the summary of the text. We'll look into the themes, the thematic preoccupation of the text. So, and that brings us to the end of this video. Bye.